They went and laid in their bed in their room. This was James' first time on the upside. They laid on the bed in their outside clothes. So Sade would have been very disgusted. Like I said yesterday, totally a white thing. I am back with my thoughts on episode 2 of Love Overboard, which turned out to be quite an entertaining episode, I must say. I was a little worried in the middle of the episode when there wasn't enough Bella because she was the standout in episode 1 for being the mess, and she was not on a lot in this episode. So I did get worried, but the editing pulled it off in the end, which we will get into the big fiasco with Sophia and Andrew being something. One thing I do want to say, Gabby, the host, did kind of irk me in this episode. I stuck up for her in my episode 1 review because she was getting a lot of hate for her voice. And it's not her voice that annoyed me in this episode. It's that they're trying the whole Love Island thing where someone gives like narration on what's happening and they're supposed to be funny jokes. Gabby's jokes are not landing. They're kind of like womp womp, giving cringe for sure. A lot happened in this episode. I just want to just go from the beginning. We came into this episode with 4 couples that were on the upside. James and Lexi. After Lexi chose James over Reese, they were happy to be together. They went and laid in their bed in their room. This was James' first time on the upside. They laid on the bed in their outside clothes. So Sade would have been very disgusted. Like I said yesterday, totally a white thing. And then they decided that they were going to wait for sex. I mean, it was their first night together. Lexi then felt okay with her decision in the morning because they did have a good night. So she said, I don't know what that entailed. Just maybe some cuddling, some sleeping together. I don't know. But they seem to come out of their first night together happy with their decision. Sade and Keith maybe not having the best episode because Keith decided to go and talk to Bella because she's a country girl, he's a country boy. They do have a lot more in common than Keith has with Sade. Like I said in the episode 1 review, the whole interracial thing is one thing, and then you take the city girl with the country boy. They have a lot. They are opposites, although opposites tend to attract. But then Keith was teaching her a line dance, and Sade was not happy to see them out together. Sade immediately blamed Bella for Bella's lack of girl code. Sade saying she's going to have a talk with Bella about it. That talk never came that I saw. But it was Keith that approached Bella in this regard. It was not Bella this time trying to make a move on a guy, but she's kind of the girl who cried woof after the first episode. Enne and Tim seemed like they were getting along very well. We learned that Enne, I think that's how you pronounce her name. I don't know if it's Enne or Enna. I'm going to call her Enne for now until I remember to do it differently. Enne said she came onto this show as a man-hater because she was coming off of a 6-year relationship that rocked her because he cheated, and she had this huge barrier up ever since then. But she had been vibing with old 45-year-old face Tim. They were vibing very well. But then after that, Tim pulled Gia for a chat, and Gia was having this whole plan because on the downside, Gia and Beau, I guess, were getting to know each other very well and vibing very well. And they concocted a strategy. We are already seeing strategy from this show, which is a good thing because Love Island has its own strategy too. These dating shows have their strategies. So Gia and Beau concocted this plan where they would try and each get close to one person on the upside in a way so that they can get into an upside relationship with one of those people and then try and bring the other one up with them. And Gia saw Tim as maybe the perfect victim to that because she was thinking that Enne and Tim are just in a lustful relationship, but maybe she could really get closer to Tim. And seemed to be working. Enne then ended up walking by Tim and Gia when they were talking, and Gia learned that Tim did not give Enne a heads up that he was going to pull her to the side to have that chat. So Enne did have a bit of a freak out to herself after seeing them talking together, because it just made Enne feel insecure because of her last relationship and how she came onto this show in the first place. I don't know if these two women should be having all this drama over Tim, though. And then Lo and David seem to be our happy couple for sure. As the episode went on, they kissed, they started making out, and then at one point it went a lot further than making out when Lo said, "I kind of want to have sex right now," and he said, "Don't say that." And they seem to end up having themselves a night of it. So good for them. At least we have one happy couple on the upside, although sometimes, like we see on Love Island, when a couple does end up hooking up, sometimes spells the beginning of the end for that couple. But we'll get more into these two in a second, and some other things that led to them becoming closer. Now, one of the early edits to this episode was this Sophia woman that kind of came out of nowhere, and it came out of nowhere that Enne and Sophia are friends. And then we started to get to see more of Andrew, who was also a character in his own way, in probably a nauseating way for some. Andrew is someone that's totally full of himself, and he is very much into Sophia, saying that the fallow downsider Sophia is the only girl for him in the entire place. And then we get a confessional from Sophia about how she thought she was going to like Andrew because he is cute, but the more she's talked to him, the more she's learned how conceited that he is. At one point during a conversation, he said his biggest fear is being average. So he has a lot of baggage tied to that in a relationship, I would think. But that became what turned out to be our very dramatic story thread throughout this entire episode. But there was also a twist, because it's not just walking the plank. No, they have challenges here too. And in this case, it was the men can swim to the 4 girls that are currently in an upside relationship. And whoever gets to a girl first could be in a relationship with that girl if the girl chooses to do so. But if the girl does not choose to do so, the girl and their current partner have to go to the downside, become a worker bee, and the guy who got there first can choose any girl to be in a relationship with him in the upside. It was a twist that ended up really shaking things up, and it adds a whole new dynamic to the game and the show, which I think turned out to be a good thing. Andrew had this whole plan about how he's going to get to a girl so that the girl rejects him, and then he can take Sophia up to the upside. And he was the fastest swimmer, and he happened to get to Enne first. And as soon as he got to Enne, he told her, "Don't pick me." He wants to bring Sophia up. And it rubbed Enne the wrong way, because it was like very aggressive. And so that played into the big story too. Beau got to Lexi first, which was good for Beau, because he too has an idea of bringing a girl up from the downside for him. Karai, I believe his name is, got to Sade first, and then David was the only guy to get to his woman first, and he got to Lo so quickly that after the swim he was feeling sick. But this was what caused both of them to get closer as the episode went on, because Lo was obviously actually concerned for him and comforting him while he wasn't feeling well. And then the producers had to take him to the hospital, and Lo came with him. So he can clearly see that she actually cares about him. And I think that is why they are currently our closest couple. That was a great example that they actually do seem to care for each other, at least for now. Enne wanted to kind of get revenge on Andrew for his telling her to immediately not pick her. So Enne chose to stay on the upside and be with Andrew, kind of to spite Andrew. Lexi decided to go to the downside and not stay with Beau and go with James to the downside, which she just coupled up with in the last episode. And Beau brought up Gia, which was their whole plan in the first place. And then Sade decided to not go with Keith to the downside and stay on the upside with Karai, even though Karai is not really feeling anything with her. I think Karai has his eyes set on Leela, so that can become some drama. But we did learn in the last episode, Sade said it out of her own mouth that she is high maintenance. So yeah, there was no way she was going to pick going to the downside and starting to clean and cook for everyone. Beau was very happy to be up top with Gia now, and they were telling each other sweet nothings. But then Tim pulled Gia to the side and told her that he doesn't want to waste his time. If she's really all into Beau, she needs to let him know. And she said that she will let him know when she officially chooses Beau. But sounds like that's not official yet, even though I think Beau thinks it is. So Gia's still playing the game there, which is something to watch. And then Leela and Karai continue to like each other, so Sade can find herself the odd woman out in that scenario in the next episode or two. Alright, so that brings us to our main drama of this episode. Andrew going on and on about how he only likes Sophia, and Andrew is hoping he impressed Sophia because he is the real masculine in the house. There was a lot to Andrew that was like this wannabe alpha male, or he really does think he's the alpha male. I don't know if this is him involved with the whole red pill shit, the manosphere, I don't know. It could be that, or he is just really conceited and into himself. But he kept telling Sophia he did it all for her because he's in so good of shape. He hasn't swam in 4 years, but he's just so fit that it translated to getting to the upside too, and wanting her to be up there with him, even though that's not what ended up happening. He really thinks in his intuition that Sophia likes him back. But we get all these confessionals that she doesn't at all. However, she wants to play the game and butter Andrew up and then go on a date with Andrew and have Andrew choose her over Enne, even though apparently Enne and her are supposed to be these great friends. And so Sophia's plan comes to fruition and she gets a date with him. And Enna's kind of blindsided because she could tell that her plan to spite Andrew might have blown up in her face, and she's going to have to walk the plank with Sophia, and her ass is going to be the one that goes home. But this pissed off a lot of people, though, especially Gia, because Sophia has been going around saying how much she doesn't like Andrew, but here she is picking Andrew on a date, totally trying to manipulate him just so she can be on the upside. They had their date. It was awkward tantric yoga. Andrew got a boner, and it was ending with a very awkward half kiss on the lips because he didn't know if she was going for the lips or the cheek, and it ended up being awkward. But he still thought the date went great, and his whole edit was Sophia playing him for a fool. But before they came back from their date, Enne was talking to everybody else about how she might have to call out Sophia on the plank about her fakeness to Andrew and hope Andrew doesn't want to look like a joke with it all. And so that's exactly what Enne did. On the plank, her whole speech was to Andrew about how Sophia is a master manipulator, and everyone was watching this very intently because it was about to go down. And Enne told Andrew that Sophia has told everyone over and over that she doesn't like Andrew. Even before Sophia went on the date, she mouthed to some people, "Help me," before going on the date. And so the manipulator, Sophia, might have got outfoxed here from Enne in this little showdown, because Enne's speech was to Andrew about how he's such an alpha male. And so if he's going to show alpha male behavior, it's not to let him be turned into a joke by Sophia. And the one thing Enne had on her side was other people jumping in to kind of confirm what she was saying. And so even though Sophia tried to play it off like Enne was being so mean to Andrew just now and really being the one humiliating him in public. That was our big cliffhanger for the episode. And it was a great cliffhanger because it really turned into a bit of a dramatic manipulation fest by the end of the episode. So if you only watched episode 2, this is where you stop this video, because I don't want to spoil you if you don't want to be spoiled, and I don't want to be spoiled in the comments. So let me remind you that I'm watching all of this one episode at a time, not binging it. But I skimmed it, and it does seem that Enne gets saved. I didn't really watch it, I kind of just skimmed it. So I think Enne's little plan here at the end to save herself worked, and Andrew maybe won't look like a joke anymore. But I don't really know if he could come back from this edit of being Mr. Conceited. But we'll see if there is another layer to Andrew. So this was a very entertaining episode. It showed us how people can manipulate in this specific game. I think this might be the episode that could really hook people. It did hook me more because of the game aspect, but it also maybe blowing up in Sophia's face, which you kind of love to see. Even though Andrew, definitely a villain, Enne was still innocent in that whole situation, and I'm glad it seems like she saved herself from what I kind of skimmed, but I'll talk about that more in episode 3 tomorrow.